This week we are going to paint our SymmetryBug. You can use any kind of paint that you have, or you can use markers, crayons, your choice. I'm going to use these tempera cakes because this is what we're using in class, but they are so similar to watercolors that they would work really nicely as well. Normally if I were home I would be using watercolors, but since I'm at school I'm going to use these tempera cakes. So we're going to use the tempera cakes same way we use watercolor. We're going to get them started by putting a little bit of water on them to get them softened up. Okay, and then we're going to come back to our SymmetryBug. So last week we talked about that line of symmetry, and we used an oil pastel or a crayon to get our design on both sides. Now this week we are going to look at these as shapes, not letters. So we can see we have these different shapes, and we're going to try to maintain the symmetry even within our painting. So whatever is on one side will be the same on the other. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to swish my paintbrush in my water, drag it, and then I'm going to paint. So if I choose to do, say, orange inside these O's, then I would have orange on the other side. Now, for both watercolor and these tempera cakes, if you paint with them and you want them darker, you are going to let them dry and then do your second coat. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm also going to put a little bit of orange down here. I like to repeat my colors so that they're not just in one spot throughout. I'm going to clean my brush, swish, drag, and then pick another color. I'm going to swirl it in this purple. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Now because I'm doing this triangle here, yes, it's part of the N, but in terms of our painting, it's a triangle. And I'm going to come over here and do the same. Now I may want to add a little bit more purple up here in the head. And because we used a lot of either crayon or oil pastel and we're painting over it, it should work as a wax resist, and that paint should not stick to our crayon or oil pastel, depending on which you used. As long as you used an oil pastel and not one of the water-based pastels. Okay, I'm going to change colors again. Swish, drag, swirl it in another color, and come on in and start painting the next section. Now, I wouldn't want to do one half one color and the other half another, because that would not give me symmetry, right? I would end up with an asymmetrical design because it would be purple on one side and another or blue on one side and another color on the other. So we are trying to maintain that balance of the two. Put my red here. And maybe I'll do red here. And I love red. So maybe I'll also do red in here. Swish, drag, swirl. I'm going to come in with the yellow. I'm going to get the eyes yellow. Swish, drag, swirl. I'm going to put some yellow in here. And I can pick another color to go right above that, and I think I'm going to go back to that purple to get a sort of striped effect. Okay, now once your paint is dry, you can come back and add patterns and textures if you want. But we are also going to paint the background. So I'm going to go in and do that right now. I'm going to swish, drag, swirl, and give my little SymmetryBug a green background, like he's sitting on a leaf or something. You can do whatever color you like. It does not have to be the same as mine ever. I love the variety when they're different. And you can see my brush is getting pretty dry, so I'm going to get some water and then some more paint. That helps the paint flow. We've talked about that flow. That means how the paint moves on the paper. Now I'm going to just flip my paper over so it's a little bit easier for me to paint because I'm right-handed. And I'm getting a little bit on the table. So if you want to avoid that, you could put down a messy mat or a newspaper or paper to protect it. I'm not too concerned about my paper or my table because I know that my paint is washable. So it cleans right up. And so I can just take a wipe to it and clean it up, which will be part of my cleanup process. Okay, so I've got my green background on. I've got all of my colors put in. I have symmetry, right? What's on one side is the same on the other. Now I'm going to add just a few little texture bumps just to add some fun to my bug. So I like to add, little bits. Now keep track of how many. I have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because we want it to be the same on both sides. And I could do, a little dot in here, a little dot in here. And I could do, I don't know, maybe some more of these little lines coming here. And if I add an extra here, I have to add an extra here. Sometimes people find it easier to work their way out from the center, so they add 1 to each side, knowing that that way it's even. 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. And then when you're done, you're just going to set that up to dry, take a picture of it, and submit it. I can't wait to see your symmetry bugs. I just know they're going to be beautiful, and I can't wait to see how your name turns out into these abstract shapes. Remember, we have S-T-O-N-E, so we have stone on one side of mine, and on the opposite side is the mirror image. All right, my friends, if you have any questions,